Well, hey folks, welcome back to Colorado Mountain Living. And this is the dog days of summer up here in the mountains. We've got some 90-degree weather. Brian's moving dirt. I'll update you guys on that in a second, but pretty much on this video, giving you the updates, giving you the news. We've got some good news, we've got some bad news. We'll show you around and tell you what's new on the homestead. So one thing I wanted to show you is how the flowers on the retaining wall are looking. I planted these seeds 4 months ago, okay, 4 months ago, finally getting the blooms. California poppies, blue cornflower, red poppies, and waiting on some sunflowers, waiting on those sunflowers to show up, but hopefully they'll get here before the end of the summer. And if you notice along the retaining wall here, you can see where Brian had cut some grass down. In fact, going over towards these aspens here, you can see it's sort of in the shape of a little bit of a circle. And that is the area where we're wanting to put a growing dome, one of those greenhouse grow domes. This was an idea that we had originally when we moved here. We knew that it was going to be a challenge to be able to grow vegetables and food and to be able to have a really decent growing season. We just don't have that. You know, it's frost date is June 9th to September 9th. That's barely 90 days to be able to get anything fruited and harvested. So we've got a trip planned in a couple of weeks to go check out these growing domes in Pagosa Springs. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. But you can see the area where Brian trimmed the grass that sort of estimates the area of what the footprint of that growing dome would look like. So it's not a project we're going to be able to start this summer, but we're just trying to get prepared to kind of see the layout, make our decisions on like maybe what size to get. It was an idea that we had from the very beginning, and it checks off quite a few boxes for us. Not only being able to grow our own food and grow it more on a consistent, reliable basis, but it also is going to add value to the property. It also provides another area to hang out in the wintertime. That's going to be nice to have that option to have something that we would probably heat year round, make sure it stays heated so we can enjoy that space. I'm thinking of it as an additional house space, an additional living space just outside of the house. So anyway, we'll keep you guys posted on that. Related to that, I have been doing a little bit of food preservation. In fact, I hit the local peach festival yesterday and got a whole case of peaches. I'll show you what I'm doing with those. So coming into the basement here, you can see where I've got the freeze dryer set up, the dehydrator's next to it. I don't have anything in there right now, but I've got 4 trays of peaches. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4 trays of peaches. It's gonna be delicious. So I figured I needed to brush up on my skills using the freeze dryer. It's in anticipation of having our own gardens and getting a lot of yield and knowing what to do with it. So that's definitely a summertime project I've had time for. But let's go check in with Brian and see how he's doing with all his dirt moving. Yeah, it looks like he's moving some rocks around. I don't know. He's having a lot of fun. He's a boy in a sandbox, I think. Moving dirt, moving rocks. Making a little rock collection. So you broke out the old grizzly sifter here to kind of separate the rock, the wheat from the chaff. So a nice pile of topsoil right here. That'll be good for later on.
To the end of its lifespan.
Oh. Oof. Yeah, this is some dirty work. But what he's working on right now is the drive. It's going to be like a horseshoe drive around that pile of dirt, back down towards the garden beds on the retaining wall to be able to access the back of the house. That's what he's working on now. He sifted it all, so I have some nice topsoil for our future garden beds in the grow dome. So that's all huge, big pile of topsoil. The other thing I was going to give you guys an update on was the status of the food composter, the Reencle. And actually, it's been really cool. I've been using it for over a month now and definitely been throwing in tons of food, probably going over the recommendations of 2 pounds of food per day. But I'll show you what it looks like. Actually used it the other day for some compost. I mean, you might be able to recognize some peelings. This is from like a sweet potato. It's definitely a mixture. You can see some seeds in here from some squash. Probably some eggshells and small pieces in there, but definitely more of like a powdery, very dry. And you mix that, I think it's 1 to 8 parts or 1 to 10 parts with soil for adding fertilizer to your plants. So I actually did that yesterday, repotting some houseplants. So if you guys are curious, I'll put that link again in the video description if you want to check it out. But definitely happy with it. I'm glad it's a nice way to do some indoor composting, because the outdoor composting for us right now isn't the most viable choice year-round. Well, folks, I know I mentioned at the beginning of the video I had some good news and I had some bad news. So I'm going to get to the bad news, and that's actually right behind me here. It's related to the beehives, and I'll take you in there. Over the winter, I had lost a couple of my hives, and I've actually lost the 3rd hive this year. They didn't die. They actually flew away. So some people think that's swarming. Swarming is actually reproduction, where this half the hive or more than half the hive will split off and fly away and leave some other bees behind. But this time, all of the bees flew away. That's called absconding, where they just leave the hive because they don't like it anymore. So I think definitely a lot of it is on me. I hadn't had the time to take care of the bees as much as I usually do. Although I've had years in the past where I've hardly touched the bees and they've been fine. So I think one of the factors was that I had added a queen excluder, which is a little bit of a metal grate to keep the queen from laying in the upper area. And I think that restricted the bees a little bit too much. Overall, they just decided they didn't like the hive anymore, and so they left. So this is the first time in 12 years that I haven't had bees. And the last 5 years in Colorado, I know a lot of people ask me about the weather here and if that's a problem for the bees, but the last 5 years have been the best 5 years I've had. I haven't lost a single hive in 5 years. And now, 5 years later, I've lost 3 hives in 1 year. So definitely sad about that. Taken a little while to sort of think about it before posting about it, because it's kind of disappointing, especially when you've been keeping bees for as long as I have, a dozen years. But it's one of those things where they definitely do need attention on a regular basis, and it's easy to get complacent by just assuming they're going to be fine because they were fine for the last 4 years. So even experienced beekeepers need to keep a close eye on their bees every year, because things change on a yearly basis, on a monthly basis. So too late to get newbies this year, but I'll probably start again next spring. A sad chapter to end without any bees, but just kind of left the hive here. I'll show you one thing that I did do with the leftover frames though. Kind of a sweet little memorial. All right, back to the basement. This is where I've been organizing my artwork for the next art show, and I'll show you what I did with some of my leftover hive frames. Well, I turned them into art. So I've got 2 different designs, the vertical design, the horizontal design. It's got the original honeycomb still on here. The backdrop is 3/8 inch plywood where I pressed real dried flowers, and I've got a beeswax paint. And then this one's got honeycomb in the corners and real dried mushrooms and a fern. So these are a limited edition. I'm selling them for $2.50 a piece, and I think that It's a little bit of a memorial for the bees, but also a little bit of a fundraiser to help me get started again next year with bees in Colorado. So if you're interested, send me a note on the website, coloradomountainliving.net, and I can let you know about purchasing these. Otherwise, they're going to Lake Dillon on Labor Day weekend and Pagosa Springs the weekend after that. So that's what is going on here? What in the world? On top of the dirt pile. Are you supposed to be on that big dirt pile like that? Is that a good spot for you? You know you're supposed to be up there on the very top. Well, a little bit of work here. A little bit of
yeah, I got some back to the rock wall building phase of
Remember those days when you built that retaining wall full of
Yeah.
rocks? So, is this a retaining wall? What do we got here?
Yeah.
Wow, look at this custom work. So this would be the edging of the drive that goes around to the back of the house. Cool. You keep funding your project by doing more excavating.
Exactly.
Well, you're wrapped up. Come inside, clean up, and I'll put some dinner on the grill.
That sounds good.
Well, while he's finishing up, I'm going to get a little fire started. So we were sent the Warm Bond portable fire pit, and actually we're excited that we actually get to use it this year. This is the first summer since we lived here that we haven't had a fire ban, so actually can use it right now. It does have the grill top, so you can put it on there and cook some food on it. Now it does come with an optional grill pack where you get a whole bunch of grilling accessories, the grilling cover, thermometer, a nice leather glove. So this is something that you can order separately to come with it. And one other separate feature you can order is the optional viewing glass. It gives you a little bit of a frame to view your flames. If you have food on the grill and you want to cover it, you can still watch how your food is grilling with the viewing glass without having to take off the cover. And one other neat feature about this company is that they send you some little fire starter rings, so it allows you to just ignite it really easily and to get a quick flame. Beer. You've been moving some dirt?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I got a mask on, a cowboy hat, my sunglasses.
I think you're a different ethnicity.
So I'm gonna have to hose off outside first.
Something about your hands.
It's like I got sleeves on.
Dirt sleeves.
I'm gonna have lunch, so I gotta wash my hands. Sure. Some Burke stuff in your teeth.
It's kind of a nice little ambiance for the end of the day.
I know.
Nice summer day.
That's a nice summer day.
Yeah, this is just our speed. This is the right thing for us.
Exactly.
When we don't have a fire ban because it's a nice self-contained unit and
Right.
move it around.
Chocolate brownie.
Well, we're gonna have just a few more of these weekends this summer
I
before
know.
summer's over. Summer's gonna be over soon, so a few more nights like this will be
We go
just
from
right.
summer to winter. It'll be a mild.
Miko, why do you think you're gonna get that? Maybe Daddy has what he can have.
He's like, I'm supposed to give kissy face to get something. Daddy taught me that. Oh, you're a Marsh. You love everything, don't you? Except broccoli. You didn't give me no kissy face.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Thumbs up.